So the Virtual Angel MV was a lot, to say the least. And I have to say that I feel like the AI versus real art thing was not really fleshed out much, but nonetheless I have a really crazy and interesting theory about all of this, so let's get right into the MV. We can see that the scenes from the teaser play out on these old TV screens, which explains why part of the teaser looked like VHS tape footage. This could of course suggest that these scenes are fabricated or that they are some kind of propaganda. And we know that these are the TVs of the 5 disciple girls, if we want to call them that, because we can see the sign reflecting off of the screen that is in the room of these girls. Now we get this VHS Virtual Angel logo, and what I noticed just now is the fact that this could be a slight hint at the Loossemble members. So first of all, TV screens work with the RGB color spectrum, so the screen is made up with red, green and blue dots. But when we look at these little dots in the back, we can see this kind of Eden blue-green color, gray, yellow, pink, and then this could either be red or orange. But nonetheless, we get at least 3 color references to the Loossemble members with yellow, Eden green, and gray. And maybe the pink and red-orange is a reference to Bibi and Yojin, but I'm not sure about that. And now we can see this sun effect again, that was already in the teaser. I'm kind of wondering if this is a reference to the sun thing from the Birth MV, but I mean the purple and orange are also kind of interesting because Yojin and Cherry presumably visited Eden before, and the song has a lot of references to Eden and was originally supposed to be called Eden, but this could also be wrong. I mean, they have to use some kind of colors, so it doesn't always have to mean something or be referencing something. Now we flash from the ARTMS girls dancing in what looks like heaven, and then these Earth girls destroying the car, just like in the teaser. And before we continue, I have to add something very important. So I believe that we are going back to the butterfly era and continue from there. And after watching this MV a couple of times, I started wondering who these girls are when I rewatched my butterfly/hi-hi analysis video. Yeah, I do occasionally rewatch my own videos. I mean, I make these videos to make it easier to grasp the lore, not only for other Orbit, but also for myself. So whatever. I watched it again and thought, well, we ended off the story with the Loonas around the world, right? And the girls told these Loonas around the world to fly high like a butterfly. Then they all started to dance together, and seemingly some of them were made out to have some type of oddness or even odd-eye powers. And this would also explain why we get so many callbacks in the song, for example to Frozen by YYYY or Singing in the Rain by Junsol, or Egoist, because the swallowing of the afternoon sun is used in both songs. So to me this feels like propaganda, and these are the Loonas around the world. And they would already be familiar with these metaphors, which then the ARTMS members could use to their advantage, putting these familiar lines in the song to make us trust the members. Now we have these girls that dress up as angels and that, just like the girl in the Hash teaser, are standing on a rooftop and wonder if they can, well, fly like a butterfly. So I believe that we're going back to the butterfly era with this, since these girls could be the Loonas around the world. We can see in this MV that these girls possess some type of oddness, and my guess is that these girls are the only ones that are able to see the ARTMS members because of their power to see and observe oddness around them. Which could then explain why we see the ARTMS members through the TV screens, because we know that in the past these TV screens and VHS effects were used to show us the Odd Eye Circle members, for example. So maybe the only way to perceive oddness is through seeing oddness with your odd eyes, or through filming it with a VHS camera. And just like the Odd Eye Circle members found one another with their powers, these girls found one another and the ARTMS members through seeing some type of oddness. And we kind of know that some of the Loonas around the world have some kind of odd eyes or odd eye powers, because there were these girls mirroring the Odd Eye Circle members in the Butterfly MV. And I mean, the connection of the ARTMS members and these girls is made quite clear through the jump cuts. Let me say this. The fact that the MV is difficult to look at underlines the fact that we are looking at something divine, something that is not perceivable for a mere mortal. They are able to see the members clearly through their odd eyes, and the only thing that we can see is, well, flashing realities, the ARTMS members and then the normal members. Though I do have to say that I think that it was not really a great idea to do this, because first of all they should have put a trigger warning at the beginning for people that are sensitive to something like this. And second of all, it's not really great for people that try to view the MV multiple times, because after watching it again and again, you kind of get a headache even if you're not really photosensitive. But I guess that is what the human version is for. so well. And now what is interesting to me is the fact that the girls destroy the car of this innocent looking girl. The same girl that at the end of the MV is standing all alone on the rooftop. Maybe she is also able to see oddness, which is why these girls try to pressure her into following their lead. But quite honestly, I believe that this girl has no odd eye powers, that she is just a regular girl, which also is made clear to us because, well, she just dresses normal and the other girls have these crazy alternative styles. And also she's the only one that doesn't wear any angel wings. So yeah, she probably is just a normal girl that these girls try to bully into filming them. Now to the place these girls live at, or maybe their meetup space, whatever. So we can now see these TV screens that have this cross/bow symbol on them. And then the sign from the teaser is here as well. And oh well, who saw this coming? A deer head. Let me be proud of myself and my keen eyes for once, okay? So this frame is really clustered. Let me break it down a little bit. A cat plushie / multiple cat plushies for Hyunjin, a lot of candle holders for the birth MV, then these two deer heads because of BB maybe, but more fittingly because of the fake ARTMS goddess from the birth MV. This sign with the eye that is crying one singular tear, just like Jinsoul from the birth MV. Like I already said in that analysis video, maybe this is a symbol for how some people cry when they see something divine. And since the odd eyes have already been an important part of the lore, what if the odd eyes make it possible for the girls to even see these divine beings? Which could then explain why there is this normal girl in the group, because she's the only one that is not affected by the divine being, because she just straight up can't see it or perceive it in any way. Then we can see a pentagram, and honestly this wall just overall reminds me of the wall from the Loossemble teasers. Like all of these pictures and mirrors, and then the clock that has 12, 3, 6 and 9 written on it. This is not really a typical clock design, so there of course could be some significance to the numbers and the design. 12 members, or maybe 12 for Haeju, and then 3 for Hustle, and 6 for Kimlip, and 9 for Yves, but I really don't know if this means anything. Now we can also see that these girls have ARTMS related tattoos, and interestingly enough, religious tattoos have been a practice for quite some time. I mean, the practice of wearing a cross necklace because it is supposed to shield you from evil basically has the same purpose than these holy tattoos. And these tattoos are specifically on their faces and arms, places that are just a little difficult to cover up, so these girls wear their tattoos with pride and want to show them off. And then this tattoo with ARTMS spelled out the way the goddess is spelled out is quite interesting. In my theory, there are two ARTMS groups right now. The real ARTMS members that were given their powers by the real ARTMS goddess, and then the clones of the ARTMS members that are underlings of the fake ARTMS, the light being that tricked the real members into killing the real ARTMS to take away her powers. And this is kind of underlined by the tattoo spelling out the real ARTMS name, because the girls, and an extension of that, the ARTMS members, believe that they're still underlings of the real ARTMS, which is why they spell it like it is actually spelled, and not just ARTMS the way that the group is spelled. And now this girl has an ARTMS tattoo with these bones of wings, so either the girls are made to believe that they are followers of the real ARTMS, like I just said, or maybe they know that the real ARTMS is dead, and that is why these are the bones of wings, you know? The girls sit down with their light sticks and pray to their goddess. But what is this? Could this be the creature from the birth MV? And could this mean that the girls pray to this fake god and that they don't know that this is the false god? And again, the religious imagery. Jesus, angels, and then candles, and more deer with these antlers. These girls seemingly create their own cult, their own religion, where they look for new divine symbols. And in this case, the symbolism has to do with deer, since the fake goddess has a deer form. And seemingly they understand the importance of the animals because of all of these plushies of different animals. So maybe this is a hint at the fact that the members have assigned animals to them. Also a lion with a mane, just like the fake goddess. The girls are watching the fake ARTMS members that share their propaganda to make the Loonas around the world believe that they are gods / virtual angels. And now this girl has fake tears. This could mean a lot of things, but I feel like the fact that these are fake tears has some importance. She is literally looking at the fake goddesses, the ARTMS members right now, and has these fake tears. Basically because she isn't actually seeing anything divine that is godlike, which would explain why she would be crying. Instead, these are fake tears, so we know that these are also fake goddesses / angels. You know what I mean? And one of the girls is kissing Hassel, but she isn't really. It's just artificial, because she only sees her and touches her through the TV screen. So again, underlining the theme of these interactions not really being a thing, because it's one-sided. The ARTMS members just talk to these girls through a TV screen, and the girls have no way of communicating back to them. Now this claw machine seems like a reference to the new MV, and after this they play some arcade games, just like the boy in the Everyday I Love You MV did. And now we are reintroduced to this girl. This more timid looking girl is filming the others. She is not actually part of the group, she is just an observer. At least that is what it seems like, because her aesthetic is totally different from the other members, and since I theorized that the alternative look the girls have, or a hint towards the fact that they could have odd-eye powers, maybe this girl has no powers at all, which is why she only films them. This would also explain why she is the only one that is not affected by the propaganda of the fake goddess and ARTMS members. Because at the end of the MV she is the only one that is still alive, while all of the other girls jump down the building. Next, we're flashing to the members having these strange looking deer antlers, smiley faces, and chains behind them. So yeah, they are putting on a fake front, they are chained down by the fake goddess, and have to perform. At least that is what I theorize because of all of these symbols. Because the deer antlers are connected to the fake goddess, and chains of course are connected to being controlled or chained down. And then the smiley face could be connected to having to perform or put on a fake happy front. Now this is basically our first introduction to men in the Loonaverse. A deer antler boy on a motorcycle with one of the Loonas around the world. So we know that the deer antlers could be a reference to the fake goddess. But what if these deer boys are actually not the goddess in disguise, but to fit this infection theory back into this story? What if these are boys infected with the fake goddess's virus that follow the fake goddess and, well, have antlers? I mentioned before that antlers are basically a controlled form of cancer in the bones. And I told you about the Last of Us games, in which there is a virus that infects your mind and makes you grow these mushroom kind of things all over your body. This is actually based on a real mushroom parasite that, after being consumed by an animal, infects the brain of the animal and then controls the animal to their liking. So what if these guys are infected and grew these antlers because of it? This then would also connect to the deer antlers in the birth MV, because they have this kind of infected look to them. Now they have to follow the lead of the goddess, and the Loonas around the world could be the ones that spread the virus, maybe? Because we saw one of the girls kiss the virtual angel, and now she is sitting next to the guy with antlers on its head, you know? So maybe the light being infects the virtual angels, and then they infect the Loonas around the world, for them to then infect the boys. Also, this looks hella like the Ouroboros from the Girls' Night MV, so there definitely is something there. Now again we see the girls and 3 guys with antlers, and it seems like only the guys have antlers. And now onto why I believe that these might be Loonas Around the World Part 2. They hold their hands up and make the fire grow taller. So they have some kind of power, and we know that the Loona members have some kind of powers because of their oddness. So on one hand, what if the fake goddess gives these girls their powers and makes them believe that they only have to follow the goddess's lead, and as an exchange they then get their powers? Because right after this we see these girls follow the dance moves of the ARTMS members, so what if this is a symbol for them following the orders of the fake members, and through this also the fake goddess? So the light being gives a mission to the ARTMS members, and then they give the word to the Loonas around the world to do their dirty work. On the other hand, it could also be that these girls just have powers, but I feel like this is kind of unlikely because we see that the girls can fly, but at the end of the MV they still fall down to the ground and die. So to me it feels like they only have powers because of the light being, and not on their own. Now we also get a deeper look into the virtual angel aspect of the MV. This of course could be read as a critique of modern idol culture and how people want something to be real so bad that they would rather believe in a fake thing and fake feelings than to engage with the real world and their real feelings. The girls put on these VR headsets and ignore the real world around them, just to get propaganda pumped straight into their brains by the fake goddess. Now, this is a reference to the Bible that I also already talked about. Be not afraid is basically something that angels say to humans in the Bible. It is said to the women that visit Jesus' grave. Jesus isn't there anymore because he rose from the dead, but two angels are still there that advise the woman not to be afraid of them. So, in a way, Jinsol is using this imagery to make the Loonas around the world believe that she is a real angel and that she is not harming them, but instead telling them the word of God. Now the girls have laser eyes, kind of like Chuu had in the Egoist MV, but while you might believe that this only takes place in the VR world, because the girls wear these headsets, I do kind of believe that this could be real. To me, these VR scenes feel like the virtual angels just show the girls what to do and how to do so through these screens, and then they go out into the world and use these newfound powers. And again, this is shown as some type of divine power through the use of crosses and praying with these light sticks. Next, one of the girls starts to fly, and while they use these powers, they glow just like the light being, which again connects the light being to these powers. And since we later on see that the girls are actually unable to fly, it would make sense for this to be the powers of the light being. So the smoke is another reference to oddness and odd eyes, since the other circle members all had smoke around them when they first awoken their powers, and then Go-won and Chuu had yellow smoke around them in the Hi Hi MV. And now the girls use this fake pink smoke to show something similar. They believe that they awoken their powers, but again, it is not them flying or making things explode. It's just that the light being makes them believe this. But I do believe that they can see oddness around them, which is the only reason why they're even able to connect to the light being and ARTMS members. Because the only girl that is not spreading around the pink smoke is again the girl that is filming that presumably has no oddness. And the fact that their powers are fake is kind of underlined by the fact that this smoke is created by smoke bombs and not through their powers, similar to Go-won and Chuu in Hi Hi, who have no odd eye powers, and so they only spread this fake yellow smoke instead of creating their own smoke, just like Jinsol, Cherry and Kimlip did. And again, it is kind of interesting that the smoke is pink, because that is BB's color, and then the deer is BB's animal. It seems a bit like the fake goddess uses BB's imagery as propaganda. And I could imagine this being a reference to BB on purpose, because BB was taken over by the alien machines, like we can see in the Girls' Night MV. So if we still believe that the light being has some kind of connection to the machine beings from the Girls' Night MV, then maybe BB is also used for propaganda, just like the ARTMS members are used as propaganda through the virtual angel videos. And now we can see arrows around Cherry's face, just like I theorized the arrows in the Birth MV being connected to Cherry because of their purple color. Also, this is the first scene in which the girl filming seems to also be having fun. It seems like she is starting to open up and be less shy around the others. Finally, we come to the most important part of the MV, the rooftop scene. Now we see the 5 Loonas around the world with their fake angel wings, standing in a circle being filmed by our observer, when they close the circle by hugging one another, just for them to start glowing again. And then they hold up their self-made cross symbol, and we can read "Save me, Savior" on the screen. So maybe the girls are praying for their salvation. Maybe the girls already gave up, but were quote-unquote saved by the goddesses, the virtual angels. This goddess then gave them each other in a way, because of the cult that formed around the goddess, and then she gave them these powers, so that now they all believe that they can only be saved by this savior. But what happens then? They merge into one entity. We will come back to this. Now this light being splits into 5 pieces. So what if the fake light being didn't give up its powers and gave them to the fake ARTMS members, but instead the fake goddess is literally the fake ARTMS members? It could have split itself into 5 pieces with the power of the dead ARTMS, and then these homunculi flew to Earth. They were sitting together with the light being because all of the members make up the light being. They are the 5 parts of the light being instead of being carbon copies of the ARTMS members. So we have the real ARTMS members having the power of the ARTMS goddess, and then the fake members that make up the fake ARTMS goddess. Now the sky is turning red, which is a sign of the world ending. And of course the Judgment Day that is heavily connected to Christianity, in which the sky turns red and God comes down to earth to judge humanity. And then the good people can ascend to heaven and the bad people will be thrown into hell. Which then also fits the symbolism of thunders, which are a sign of God. Since he is angry at something, he throws down thunders to earth. And also, if you slow down the video enough, you can see this red circle. That kind of looks like the opening of Kimlip's MVs, which would then be an eclipse. And just like I mentioned before, an eclipse can also be a sign of an apocalypse or the world ending. So all of these details connect and show us that this might be the Judgment Day, which could then explain the red sky in the birth MV, and also the symbolism of the girls trying to run away from fate because they know that the world will end, and that the fake goddess, the light being, now in their form, can come down to earth to judge them and send them to heaven or hell, figuratively. Now we can see that only the girl filming is left, and she witnessed the morphing of her friends into one light being, and then this being split into the 5 ARTMS members, which in a way was symbolized with the birth MV through the symbolism of 5 babies / homunculi falling down from the skies, and then being shown to grow as plant people until at the end they look like the ARTMS members. So the birth MV kind of like showed us the events of this MV, but in a different way, to make it easier for us to understand that these are not the actual ARTMS members, but instead copies of them that make up the light being / fake goddess. So now we can see one after another, the girls laying on the ground and the girl filming being all alone on the rooftop. So what exactly happened? In my opinion, her friends were promised powers. They could have made a deal with the light being, and as an exchange for their powers, they gave up their bodies. They jumped down the building to fly high, but ended up falling down to the ground. Basically, they were tricked by the light being into giving up their bodies, and then once they died, the light being could use their bodies to control them and morph them into the fake ARTMS members, so that the light being could now have a human form and walk on Earth. So I believe that this MV takes place during or before the birth MV. For once, Modhouse gave us a really important hint towards this by making Birth the last song on the album and calling this out in a press release. And then it also thematically makes sense. The Loonas around the world in this MV die and build the groundworks for the fake goddess. She takes the girls and their life force to create the homunculi fake ARTMS members that make up the light being. Then in the birth MV she kills the real goddess and hunts down the real members to erase them or something like that. Because then her and her fake virtual angels would be the only ones having divine powers. And the only reason she didn't take the girl filming is because she is not odd enough. She wasn't able to see the oddness around her, she only was able to see it through the VHS camera. So the goddess has no use for her when she is dead. No, instead of that, she lets her film everything so that she can spread even more of this propaganda. In this way, others can be recruited, and then they want these powers as well. They make a deal with the light being, so that the light being can then use them as some type of power or fuel. I mean, at the end of the MV, we only see 5 crosses in the sky, and what do we see fall down in the birth MV? I think that the light being was only able to create these fake members and split up herself into 5 pieces, through using human beings and the divine power of the real ARTMS. And after she had all of this, she was able to create her own little flowers. Now the virtual angel members are only that, virtual, and not real. Or are they? This song was originally supposed to be called Eden, and Eden was a place that tried to trick the YYXY members into submission with the threat of a god that would punish them. But the members left Eden and they kind of weren't punished at all. So we can theorize that the god in Eden was just a lie and wasn't actually real. And in this MV, we again see the quote-unquote fake gods that we cannot really prove are real. So either these members are just virtual copies of the real members that are supposed to trick the Loonas around the world. Since the Loonas around the world know the Loona members, they would be easier to fool with these fake members. Or maybe these are not fake virtual members at all, but instead they could be the real members that are controlled by the light being. I mean, why would the members run away in the birth MV if they didn't have any connection to the light being beforehand? We also saw in the Girls' Night MV that BB's eye color changed, and then she was controlled by something. So what if these are in fact the real ARTMS members, but they are taken over by this light being, since they all have blue eyes, which they didn't have in the birth MV. And then birth is them fleeing, because they were able to escape this nightmare somehow. Then the other pre-releases maybe were so bright and happy, since the light being imprisoned the members into this dream world, and birth is so dark on the other hand because it shows us the real world and no dream. And this real world is just collapsing and an apocalypse is happening, then the story would go something like this. The Loona members were spread all over the Mobius strip, and I'm going to fit the 2 timelines theory into this as well, so no worries. In the butterfly timeline, only the Odd Eye Circle members were able to find one another easily, since they all have Odd Eye Circle powers. I mean, we saw the Odd Circle members gather before, so why wouldn't they be able to gather again, you know? So the Odd Circle members are together and come back with Air Force One. They lack most of their memories, but two things they remember quite well. Firstly, that they have some type of powers, and secondly, that they are the protectors of the Loonas around the world that they gathered in the Butterfly MV. They noticed these corrupt systems that try to gather power, and the Odd Circle members destroy these monopolies of power, but they make the mistake of not wanting to take these responsibilities of leading the system themselves, so they leave behind the crown and go their way. Now, Heejin was part of the organization because she found out about her powers, and they maybe wanted to take her powers away from her, so she stayed with them. But once she noticed the Odd Circle members used their powers for good, she decided to run away from her responsibilities as well, to then join the Odd Circle members. Now Heejin meets Hustle on accident, and they all gather together. They use their powers to have some fun, and to help out the Loonas around the world. But this is also seen by the imposter ARTMS. The imposter shows these old drawings and explains to them this fake lore of them. The members trust the imposter because they don't really remember their past, and the prophecies show them gathering because of the goddess ARTMS, so they have no reason to distrust her. This imposter then teaches them about their powers, but once they fully trust her, the imposter takes over their bodies and uses them to gather even more power. The Loonas around the world that grew to trust the ARTMS members are now gathered, and once they have learned to trust the imposter as well, because the imposter gives them their powers and shows them that the ARTMS members are working for her as kind of like her angels, she lets the ARTMS members advise them to do a ritual, the angel ritual that turns you into one of the virtual angels. They have to quote-unquote summon ARTMS and jump off the rooftop to spread their wings. But the only thing that happens is that the imposter takes away their life force and leaves them falling from the rooftops to the ground. But one thing that the imposter didn't expect is that the girls had a friend that filmed all of their adventures with their powers. But this girl is but a normal human girl that is unable to see oddness. She didn't follow her friends, and after they had died, she decided to warn all of the Loonas around the world to not trust the fake goddess anymore. She creates these drawings showing what really happened and how this goddess is but an imposter trying to kill the real moon goddess and take away the powers of the virtual angels. Through this new prophecy, the imposter loses some of its power and becomes unable to keep controlling the members. The members use their moment to flee. They now want to destroy ARTMS, since in their eyes ARTMS was the one to end the Loonas around the world and imprison them. They don't know yet that this evil ARTMS was only an imposter and that it wasn't the real ARTMS doing this. Now the light being wants to create copies of the members because she realizes that the members would never help her to take over the world. But before she can create the copies, she has to get an enormous source of power. So she tricks the members into killing the real ARTMS. Since the members only knew the imposter as ARTMS, this would make sense. They just didn't know that there is a good and a bad ARTMS. So they accidentally end up killing the good goddess that was giving them their moon girl powers, which leads to the girls only having one option left, which is to run. They spread all around the place so that the light being can't find them all, but one after another they are all found by the light being, and this being creates clones of the members. These homunculi are coming down to Earth as meteorites to fool the people on Earth into thinking these are real angels, divine beings that come down to Earth to save them. The real members are put into cryosleep, and the light being now controls this newfound Eden with her fake angels. That is why the album is called Divine All Love and Live, and not Divine. It is a twist on the divine, the angels, the good forces of the world, and twist them into divine beings, fallen angels sent by the devil to do its bidding. And all of this also explains the red skies in both the Birth and Virtual Angel MVs, since this is a clear sign of the world ending. And it also explains why the ARTMS members weren't using their powers to protect themselves against the light being in the Birth MV, because they just didn't have any powers left. So the end point to this is that the real members lost their powers because they destroyed their power source, the goddess of the moon. Because if the Odd Circle members have their powers to destroy a truck with a mere hand gesture, then why wouldn't they fight back against the light being? Well, because they lost their powers. And on the other hand, we have the fake light being with its disciples. But what I could imagine happening now is the clones of the members are created by dividing the 5 parts of the goddess ARTMS into the members. So what if the real ARTMS members could get back to their powers if they put these pieces back together? And what if these virtual angels will not follow the demands of the light being, since they now have this good part in them, this part that is from the good and divine being called ARTMS? So it could be that they will fight back against this evil being and merge themselves to become ARTMS, the real ARTMS. Kind of like the reverse of this MV, in which ARTMS is used to create 5 new imposters. Which also explains why they are these white light beings. This is visually explaining to us that this evil light being and these evil virtual angels have a connection. On the other hand, now we have Loossemble and their alien machine uprising, and I have to say that I feel these stories, while having similar themes, may be mirroring one another rather than connecting into one big story. I mean, in the case of Loossemble, there also is this upside down triangle symbol, the members running away, and so on and so forth. So there are definitely points that connect, or at least seem to mirror one another. But my theory basically is, what if ARTMS live in the butterfly timeline? This would explain the Loonas around the world, the references to the butterfly lyrics, and so on. And the Loossemble members live in the high timeline, since the Earth and their MVs is mirrored, just as an example. Loossemble are also kind of living happy lives, until they go back in time to find their members, which would then fit the overall happier vibe of the high timeline. And then they just accidentally summon aliens that want to take over the planet. While the ARTMS members accidentally stumble upon the evil light being, thinking that it was the moon goddess ARTMS, which also kind of mirrors. Loosemble's aliens are showing their evil plans to begin with, while the light being tries to cover up her evil plans. So while the butterfly timeline has internal struggles, like the power struggle of the world, or the way that the members feel alone while they are separated, the high timeline has external struggles. The girls feel happy and found one another no problem, but now there are aliens that take over and control BB's mind all of a sudden. I mean, I don't know how they are going to fit all of this together, but I do feel like they will at least try. I mean, isn't it a little bit strange how all of the members have their debut/comebacks in the first half of the year, instead of spreading it all throughout the year? But what if I told you that this is on purpose? All of the members have said time and time again that they want to do an OT12 Loona comeback, but that they struggle with their schedules. Now, in April, May and June, they all have their schedules full, but since they are really active now, they should have the rest of the year a little more free. What if they are planning to do schedules together again, and so they do their comebacks now, and gather all of the 12 members and 4 companies in the second half of 2024 to do their OT12 comeback? And this could tie everything together nicely, since the members as of now are all in similar situations. Loossemble are probably taken away by the machines, ARTMS by the imposter light being, and Yves is caught up in her mind. So they might as well just all are put into cryosleep in the spaceship from the Loossemble MV. Well, in Chuu, we have to see what her comeback will be about, but as of now she could be the one saving the other members, since she is the only one that went through her struggles and at the end came out stronger and happier than ever, and with newfound friends. Well, who knows, but I am really excited to see where this is all going. I will make a video about Yves' MV soon, but as of now this video was a little more time consuming, so I wasn't able yet to write a theory. But I will definitely see you next time with the Yves theory and maybe something about Chuu's comeback as well. So if you liked the video, you can like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.